Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of Around the World in 80 Tours. In the spirit of the unlucky number of 13, today's episode is going to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to issue a little content warning here. This location today does pertain quite closely to some darker history of mankind, specifically World War II. So if you're a little bit squeamish about dark history, now's probably the time to find something else to watch. Um, but anyway, my name is the Lorekeeper, and this is Oradour-sur-Glane over in France. So let's go ahead and get started. As you see around here, this kind of looks like a ruined area. And you've heard the term looks can be deceiving, but this isn't necessarily one of those moments. Um, because these are in fact ruins, because the original village that this was actually destroyed during World War II by the Nazi soldiers. You can see around me here that some of it still remains somewhat preserved, such as that car over there. But we're gonna look around, and along the way, I will tell you what I've been reading about this place. Um, because I honestly did not know about this place, and abandoned places are kind of a specialty of mine. If I can just stop moving the camera all around there. All right. So you'll see here that there's a few different locations along this area that we're going to be able to look at. Um, I admit I kind of had a hard time finding this place on the map, because like you pull it up in the search bar over here, you type in the village's name, and nothing shows up because technically that doesn't necessarily exist anymore. So I had to Google the coordinates to this place and actually pull it up that way and find what else it's nearby. So with that, let's go ahead and have another look around. Right? So these these used to be homes, I believe. Um and the occupants of the village, like I said, were executed by the Nazis. Um but let's go ahead and pull up my handy data pad, aka Wikipedia article, and we'll we'll find out more. So let me just click that. And I'll go ahead and close that out, and then I'll just move this right over here so that you can see me while I read, or that I can see myself while I read. All right. So Oradour-sur-Glane, uh, it has a French pronunciation there. Unfortunately, I'm not totally confident to try that. It's a commune in the Haute-Vienne department. I don't know if I said that correctly either. Nouvelle-Aquitaine, West Central France, as well as the name of the main village within the commune. The original village of Oradour-sur-Glane is widely known for having been destroyed and its inhabitants massacred by Nazi Germany in World War II, and subsequently left in its destroyed state as a memorial. Oh, that does make me want to go ahead and take a pause on that real quick, because when I first got over here, uh, the first view it loaded up was oops, that's the wrong button. It was like a cemetery honoring the dead. So I think it was around here somewhere. Well, there's that car again. Not quite what I was looking for, but that is a nice view of the car. Let me move the camera there. Which vintage car enthusiasts, I don't know if you're as thrilled to see this one, but let's see. Uh, is it there? Not quite, but this is a good view nonetheless. You can see the tourists around here, which I know I may or may not be breaking my own rule here going to a tourist destination. Um, but the thing is, it's not like a mainstream tourist destination, quite like Paris or where else do people go? Not like Paris, not like the Statue of Liberty, not the pyramids, which I might do an episode on the pyramids at some point. I mean, it's breaking the rules, but it's also my show and my rules. So yay! I have a little bit of freedom there that I give to myself. But yeah, you can see these people looking at the ruins, and I haven't read the exact story of everything that happened here. Maybe that'll be included in the article, but I am kind of also on a time crunch because the last episode was almost half an hour long, and had a little bit of a hard time condensing. So we got about 20 minutes left. We're good. Um, yeah, you can see that this is a heavy place in French history. You can see it just by the way people are looking at it. And of course, what exactly it looks like. But with that, let me go ahead and try to find that cemetery. Is it there? Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. Not quite. But as you see me fumbling around trying to find the right view, um, you are getting more of a feel for the city or the ruins. Is it over there? Also not quite. Well, anyway, we'll find it. We'll find it eventually. Um, we'll find it organically. uh, but yeah, let me zoom in there a little bit. Um, so this place, I guess I would now consider it one of the darkest places in the world, next to Pripyat, um, other places of dark history that pertain to true crime, uh, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, you know, lots of them from the World War II and Cold War era. Which the Cold War, I do find kind of fascinating as far as like old military stuff goes, because that war holds a lot of secrets, many of which are still yet to be uncovered. Let's see. Before World War II, Oradour-sur-Glane was a quiet, rural community. The original village was destroyed on June 10th of 1944, 4 days after D-Day, when 643 of its inhabitants, including 247 children, were massacred by a company of troops belonging to 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich, a Waffen-SS unit of the military forces of Nazi Germany in World War II. There were only 7 survivors of the massacre. So of all this that you see here, only 7 people were left alive. That is incredibly dark. Let's keep reading. Let's see. There are only 7 survivors of the massacre. SS Sturmbannführer Adolf Deichmann, the commanding officer of the Der Führer Regiment of the Das Reich Division, had wanted to destroy another French town, Oradour-sur-Glane, whose people were said to be providing food and shelter to the Maquis. I don't know what that is. I will have to see that later. But had taken a wrong turn on the road, which led him and his men to Oradour-sur-Glane, whose people had never supported the... Oh my. So that hit me a little bit hard. So none of this was actually supposed to happen. This place was found by accident because of a wrong turn. while they were on their way to do the exact same thing to another village. Man, that's pretty heavy. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm not quite as enthusiastic as I am in other episodes. Yeah, you can see the inside of this building a little bit, which this picture, as you see here, was taken in 2017. But people's homes, their businesses, whatever else they may have had, their families executed in cold blood, the village razed to the ground. Mm-mm-mm. Let me find another view here. This one's camera angle is kind of awkward for me. But yeah, like I said, this is kind of a darker episode. I wanted to do something a little bit spookier for the 13th episode. Um, I wasn't quite expecting this. Man, sorry I'm quiet. I'm just kind of taking it all in for a little bit. Let's see if I can find that cemetery. Was it around here somewhere? Not quite. But this is also a good view. I like the pre-World War II architecture. Looks like this was probably a religious ground. I can't quite make that out. Oh wait. I see the second word is remember. Oh, is that a souvenir shop? Ah. Yeah, I think so. So the tourists that hello? Okay, there it is. So the tourists that came to visit this place looks like they can get their souvenirs right over there. Man, I wish I could find that cemetery. If I click that, it would help if I could actually read French, I think. Okay. Not quite, but we'll probably be able to see the cemetery from here actually. So let's look around. This is a really good shot. So this is all that's left of a village that was never supposed to die. Yep, and it was left exactly the way it was back then. Senseless violence. Which that's something that, not to get too preachy here, um, but war, I know sometimes we glorify it. We think of it as a chance to prove victory over our perceived enemies, but people don't always talk about the civilian cost of that, and we're looking at it right now. Over 600 people killed, over 200 of which were children, and I'm just now hearing about it. Because when we talk about World War II, we do talk about the Holocaust, which equally horrendous. I mean, an entire race of people targeted for mass execution. We hear about the the atom bombs that we used in Japan, but you don't often hear about innocent people that were just murdered for no reason. People who lose their homes because of politicians fighting their deadly wars with the people. I'm sorry, that got really, really dark. A little bit preachy, and I do apologize. But this is a more candid episode, I want to say. But that's the cemetery that I was looking at right over there. It looks like there's a great big monument at the center of it. Lord. Okay, anyway, sorry. That got really, really serious, but that does kind of happen when you visit a place like this. But anyway, let's go ahead and keep reading. We still have a little bit of time left in the episode before I have to wrap it up. Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes, so I will go ahead and read some more. I'm sorry that most of our time this episode was spent me just fumbling my way around. A new village was built after the war on a nearby site, but on the orders of President Charles de Gaulle, the original has been maintained as a permanent memorial. The Centre de la Mémoire de Oradour Museum is situated adjacent to the historic site. Personalities linked to the commune. Robert Ibras? I'm so sorry. He was one of the 6 survivors of the massacre on the 10th of June in 1944. Jean-Claude Perronet? I really should have practiced these names beforehand. I'm sorry. Born in 1940. He was a French politician and creator of the Center of Memory. Sebastien Poigrinaire. He began his football career at U.S. Oradour-sur-Glane, where his father and his uncles had played. And Didier Barbelivien, a French singer-songwriter, paid tribute to this place in his song Les Amants d'Oradour. The municipality borders from, oh lord, Haverdat? I'm sorry. I'm not going to bother with those names. I know that's probably ever so slightly disrespectful, but I feel like mispronouncing them as greatly as I probably would be equally disrespectful. While we've got some time, let's go ahead and look back at this word from earlier and find out what that's all about. Because whatever it is, it's what drove them to do this. The resistance fighters in German-occupied Europe. Let's see, can I?
Maquis.
Maquis? Okay. There were rural guerrilla bands of French and Belgian resistance fighters called Maquisards during World War II. Initially, they were composed of young, mostly working-class men who escaped into the mountains and woods to avoid conscription into Vichy France's service de travail obligatoire, or compulsory work service, which provided forced labor for Germany. To avoid capture and deportation in Germany, they became increasingly organized into active resistance groups. So, if I have that right, in order to avoid forced labor for the Germans, they escaped to an area near here, escaped into France. And the Nazis were supposed to get a village that was not that far from here, I guess, because they were supporting them and feeding them, allegedly, but ended up raising this one instead. That is some dark stuff. Wow. Sorry, it's just really surreal, you know? I know usually we have a little bit of fun on these tours, but there's nothing that fun about this. This is the part where we lean much more into the educational side rather than entertainment. It estimated 25,000 to 40,000 members in autumn of 1943 and approximately 100,000 members in June of 1944. The Maquis made up one component of the mosaic of the resistance in France and Belgium. The Maquis referred to the organization of bands of resistance guerrillas which emerged in rural France, mainly in the south. The Maquis were emergent in 1943 and were also active in 1944. Originally, the word came from the kind of terrain in which the armed resistance groups hid, high ground in southeastern France covered with scrub growth called maquis. Huh. So they named their group after their hiding places. Interesting. But yeah, um, it's a lot. I almost refilmed this episode because I was kind of taken aback. But I think it works best that I give you my real time reaction to this because I don't necessarily like for these episodes to be scripted. I don't like to do a whole lot of planning ahead of time because I want the show to feel very, very natural. And unfortunately, that does include you guys watching me get a little bit upset about these things. Um, so, with that, I think it's about time for me to wrap it up. So, I will say thank you for watching the show. Um, if you're if you're really interested in the show, make sure that you like, you comment, you subscribe, you share with your friends, because that does help give me the confidence to keep the show going. Um, and if you do feel ever so slightly inclined to help me out, you can tip your tour guide, that's me, by clicking the Cash App link in my description, in the episode description, and you can tip me whatever you'd like to. For doing the incredibly difficult job of butchering words on a Wikipedia article. Um, but yeah, you absolutely don't have to, but if you'd like to, I would appreciate it. With that said, this has been episode 13 of Around the World in 80 Tours. My name's the Lorekeeper, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.